Hi, and welcome to the Sit Down with Suzanne podcast. I am your host, Suzanne. Well, who am I? I'm a author, a life coach, a minister, a motivational speaker, and a leader with over 20 odd years of experience leading multi-million dollar corporations. And I am here for your listening pleasure. For my first time listeners, welcome to the show. And for my returning listeners, welcome back. This is the season 2 recap. So last year I did the recap and I had so much fun doing it because I just highlighted a couple of different episodes that I did. So this year, oh my goodness, what a year, what a journey. I started season 2 last year with something that was near and dear to my heart. If you listen to the episode, the very first episode was Breast Cancer Awareness on You. I'd found out some things about myself while visiting the doctor in 2020, something that took me aback, but just highlighted to me how important breast health is. So I want to encourage you guys about that. So that was something that I talked about last year. So we talked about breast health. As you know, last year was cray with the election. So it was the 2020 election that some folks still don't believe the election was fair and legitimate. I talked about us not being okay as a society, us not being okay as Black folks, because like I said, last year was cray. We had to deal with so much, not only a pandemic, but a racial pandemic was also happening. We talk about social media because a lot of folks get their news from social media. One of the things I made sure that I did last year, we had a great Christmas because you know what? We still got to celebrate life regardless of what's happening. We talked about 2020 and what's happening. I talked about Let It Go. Y'all know how I feel about that Frozen song. I think I've said it on most episodes. I had a very, very honest and candid conversation with a peer of mine, just really talking about race, and she's from a different race. So it was so important for me to have that conversation with her because she's an ally. I did reintroduce the Phenomenal Woman series. I talked to, an auntie of mine, Parley Jones. She's that community aunt. Talked to her phenomenal daughter. I talked about Black History Month. I talked about mom shaming. There's so much things I did that and there's so many episodes that I planned that I didn't get to do, but I promise you that for season 3, I'm going to bring it back. I chatted with N. Farron, an up-and-coming gospel artist. I talked about race a lot. I talked about girlfriends. I talked about mental health. I talked about leadership. I talk about self-care. I talk about boundaries. I talked about joy. I talked about failure, starting over, knowing who you are. There was just so many things I talked about. I talked about, getting vaccinated. I talked about those folks who call themselves allies and what they're doing. I talk about forgiving yourself. There is just so many things I talk about. I actually even talked about my husband and I, our relationship and where we are. And I got to tell you this. There was just so much feedback on a couple of these episodes that people absolutely enjoyed. I love the fact that I enlightened and encouraged a couple people based on the podcast to go get tested, to go get their mammogram. I'm glad that I had an opportunity to highlight to folks that, self-care is important. Their mental health is important. They responded and they shared their feedback about that. So I'm grateful for that. I talked about just forgiving yourself, and I'm grateful for that. But y'all will not believe this. So last year, I talked about my number 1 episode of season 1, which was the one I talked about with Beyonce, right? So it was Beyonce, her love letter to dark skinned girl, right? Would you believe my number 1 episode this year, my most played episode, was Beyonce again for the second year in a row? This girl just keeps on winning. It wasn't even in season 2. I didn't even redo season 2, but I got to tell you, people keep going back to that episode in season 1. And it was my number 1 episode in season 2, even though it was from season 1. So I got to tell you, Beyonce, thank you for being you. I mean, I guess the Bayhive is very, very strong because every single week there is a couple of people listening to that episode, and it is one of my favorite episodes. I did enjoy doing that episode, but I'm just telling you, Beyonce's love song to dark skinned girl, I did this over a year ago. This was in season 1, but thank you, Queen Bey, because this continues to be my number 1 requested, downloaded, and listened 2 episodes. So Queen Bey, I give it up to you. I love her. I do. I know she has a lot of detractors, but I love her. The girl is good at what she does. She does so much behind the scenes, and she don't say anything. And I think folks, sometimes when you don't say anything, they attack you. They just they choose their own narrative. But I'm just gonna give her flowers, because I thank you. I thank you for thank you. 2 years in a row, Beyonce has been my number 1 requested and downloaded episode. So if there was an award I had to give, I would give it to Queen Bey, because I mean, not that she needs another award, but I'm gonna tell you, she helped me out, because like I said, number 1 downloaded episode in season 1 and season 2 was my episode titled Beyonce's love song to dark skinned girl. So I don't know if that was it. So this was season 2, y'all. I had a ball doing it. I took a lot of breaks during it because I was focusing on my mental health, my family, and all of that, but I still had a ball. I'm looking forward to season 3 coming up. Season 3, y'all! I'm so happy all about it. So happy about it. Just remember to check me out. I am going to be a speaker at She Podcast 2021. It's going to be in Arizona at this fabulous hotel. I'm looking forward to it. So if you're a podcaster, you're looking to podcast, please, absolutely, you have to check out She Podcast. I know they're offering a virtual option, but I will be there live and in person, and I'm hoping to see you. I am so excited about my presentation. Also, subscribe to the show. I'm on so many different directories. Subscribe, like, do what you got to do. And I'm also doing Buy Me a Coffee. I'm going to be doing some different things when season 3 premieres in October. So go ahead and buy me a coffee. Make sure that I am well moisturized, that I'm well hydrated by the time I come back in season 3. I hope that you're all enjoying your summer. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Download the past episodes, listen to them, like, share, give feedback, do all of that. But I will be announcing when season 3 comes back. Also, friendly reminder, I wrote my book, Detoxifying Leadership. It's available at Amazon, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, and a whole also other place. Check it out. It's a fun, light read about some lessons that I learned along the way about toxic leaderships. I've done a couple of episodes. And I also wanted to let you guys know that in the month of August, please follow me on TikTok, because I'm going to be doing a couple of series, a couple of episodes. It's going to be called Suzanne Says. You remember that game, Simon Says? Yeah, so this is going to be titled Suzanne Says. So join me on TikTok. I'm going to be doing a couple of just little short videos and things like that. So come on over, Positively Suzanne on TikTok, so you'll be connected. Follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter as Positively Suzanne. If you want to stay connected, if you want to know what I am up to. I'm going on vacation soon with the family, so I'm very excited and looking forward to that. And if you want to correspond and connect with me, just shoot me an email at Suzanne@positivelysuzanne.com. But listen, your girl has had a blast. And as always, I hope season 2 of the Sit Down with Suzanne podcast has inspired you, has motivated you, and have empowered you. And until season 3, this is Suzanne signing off.